Γεια σας, hello. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Amanda, Lιβανού. I'm a Greek producer. I've been working for the past 20 years. Actually, my first job was with the new president of the Hellenic Film Academy, Yorgos. He was my first boss in film. And my first movie was his movie, Piso Porta, which Dennis Iliadis, who is also here, co-wrote. And Klaudia,
Ήταν να μην είμαι, αλλά...
I see we have an intruder. We didn't really want the director to be with us, but you know, you can't stop directors. They do what they want anyway. Hello, Babis.
Hello, everybody.
And we are quite shy. Babis is not shy. Klaudia and I are shy.
Because we are producers.
Because we are producers. So this is a discussion. Feel free to... What we're going to try to say is how we work together on this movie and how we want to work again and what it means to do a co-production, what it means to produce a film and what it means to co-produce a film with somebody who is not in the same country and that you maybe don't even know very well when you start working. But please feel free to stop to, you know, let's do this as a discussion as well if you want to ask something or if you want to say something, we are very happy to do that. And Klaudia, would you like to say a few things about yourself or should I?
You are much better than myself, but I can probably
It's not true.
shortly
It's not true.
introduce myself. So I run a company together with my friend Beata in Poland, in Warsaw. And actually, when we decided to set up the company, previously we were working as a production managers and I'm producers for the others. And when we said that we are fed up with the others because they are pushing us to do things that we didn't like, actually. The first project that came to us was Park with Amanda. And it was not that we were searching for anything. Actually, we went to Karlove Vary just because we wanted to know something and know people. We didn't know anyone. And then many people started to tell us that there is a girl you have to meet, there is a girl you have to meet. We haven't managed to meet. Because obviously Karlove Vary is too big city to meet one person from Greece. But then we started to call each other. And that was our first co-production, which was not really obvious, and we didn't know how to make it. But she was so nice and so helpful with her experience that actually she directed us how to do this for the first time. Yes. And now we are mainly co-producing with countries, with the European countries, but not only. We grow up as a company, so in Poland, actually, we are not the only ones, but we are the company that do not make Polish movies, but it's not the idea behind that we don't like Polish movies. We like Polish movies very much. But it's heavy sometimes to collect the money for this, and actually we like this idea that we are collecting money and talents from different countries to put them together. And Park was not our only one project. We liked each other so much, so we decided to make another one and thinking about the future still. So it was just a good beginning, which we continue.
So it's interesting we talk about Park and Pity because there's a difference in the co-production and what it means to do a co-production. Park was a very hard film to make because we were going around. It was a first feature. Pity is Babis' second feature, so it was different. He already had a track record. But with Park, it was a movie that we were going everywhere to present it to co-production markets, etc. It was doing great. And then we didn't get the funding from the Greek Film Center, so we couldn't do a co-production, proper co-production. We had a French co-producer at the time who was waiting, who actually ended up working with Klaudia afterwards in a film by Claire Denis, High Life. And so we did it with private money. Park.
So may I make a question?
Yes.
Just to help the...
Yeah.
How the thing starts with our movie?
Yeah.
What the steps?
Yeah. So, but the reason I'm mentioning Park is what they did, because we had a Polish DP. she said, oh, there's a great producer in Poland that can help us finish the film. So you can only do co-productions if you start in the beginning, not if you start at the end, because you have to structure everything. A co-production, basically what it is an economic and artistic cooperation between different countries based on the European Convention. I know that sounds very technical, but it's important to remember, especially on the day that Boris Johnson gets a majority, that Europe is something important because we also came quite close. And there's rules to do things, and there's rules to be open to other countries and to other cultures. So all of a sudden, because of the European Convention, you can make a movie with Poland. So
the first thing it was
with Pity, Babis and I have worked already in El, his first movie, which was not a co-production. And so when they had a script with Efthimis Philippou, his co-writer, it was again a very bad period for Greece. It was 2014, then it was 2015. We couldn't get the funding from the Greek Film Center. We thought, let's make it into a guerrilla movie. Let's do it as we did El, which was completely, the money came afterwards, the Greek Film Center money and the television money. But then it was the summer of 2015. So as we were prepping the movie, all of a sudden, we're bankrupt. There's a referendum. Nobody knows what's happening. So we closed the office and we thought, this is no time to think about movies. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Babis got very depressed. He kind of had this face that, it's finished. I've had this movie in my head forever. It's done. If we can't do it now, I'm like, the country, what do you want to do? The country's bankrupt, what do you want to do? It's like, we're not going to make the movie. So we had met Klaudia already, and I gave her the script, and she talked about the project. So the summer passes.
Actually, it was not even a script. What Amanda gave us was a super nice book, which was cut in the middle. And we had a huge discussion in the office that if she did a mistake, something didn't work in a printer's room or something. But actually, probably she gave us a trash. But this trash was super interesting. Like everything, it was very well done. And first thing is that we became kind of friends because of Park. And it was not just only cooperation, it was very heavy. We didn't have money to finish a park, so we didn't receive any grants. It was too late to apply, that's why it was not a normal co-production when it comes to co-producing under this technical European convention. And we were starving a bit with this because no money, how to make it, but we liked the project, we wanted to do this, and we were talking and talking and talking over the phone. And then she said, listen, I have something, guys, I will send you this. And she sent us this book. And we were looking at this like, what is it, what is it? It was very nicely done. And everything what was written there was also nice. And actually, we were in a moment when the Polish Film Institute started this minority co-productions, and they were searching for projects, and not many people were applying. So we said, well, let's maybe try. And then, script.
So what we gave her, we had gone with the project Pity to Cinemart, which is the Rotterdam Film Festival co-production market, and we had prepared this booklet. And because Babis is very precise about graphic designers and things like that, it was, in fact, this very, very nicely done and quite expensive, I remember, booklet that was cut in the middle.
Yeah.
Because the idea with Pity was that there's the main character who can only be happy when he's unhappy. So in Beauty, he finds he destroys things. So after we had gone, after the summer of 2015, when we couldn't make it, etc., we were discussing with Klaudia what to do. And yes, the Polish Film Fund was starting minority co-productions. What minority co-productions means is that it's a Greek movie and then Poland comes in. So the majority co-producer is Greece, and then Poland comes in technical terms that we can get into, but I don't think it's so interesting. It's just basically you have to prove some points, and you have to, there's a point system with with the basic heads of departments. There's points for language, there's points for nationality. So you have to kind of make something that looks attractive to the film fund in Poland so that they can give money to a project which is Greek, to be shot in Greece with a Greek director in the Greek language. So again, they have no reason to do it except we have the European Convention and we're all Europeans. So, so Klaudia saw that, and we thought, Babis and I, so Babis, this is 2016, beginning of 2016 now. We get some funding from the Onassis Foundation. We go and pitch the project to the Onassis Foundation. I think we were the first film that got in. We were already in co-production with Faliro House, who was already part of the project from the beginning. We had been to Cinemark together. We even thought about making the movie in English. All that didn't happen. And we didn't think that we could make Erimage. Erimage is the basic reason why people make co-productions in Europe, other than finding money from other funds. It's this fund of funds, which is, there's more countries are in it than just the countries of the European Union, like you have countries like Turkey who are part of Erimage. But for example, the United Kingdom was never part of Erimage, even before Boris Johnson came along. So it's basically a fund that is very technical, and you can apply to it for quite a lot of money, about 17.5% of your budget. And you get that money because you are a co-production, respecting these technical terms. So I didn't think we could get it because we didn't have the Greek Film Center. It wasn't running again at the time. We didn't have the Greek television. You need to have the national funds. But Klaudia spoke about the project to the Erimage, the Polish representative to Erimage. And we were in Berlin, at the Berlin Film Festival, and the Polish lady who is the representative to Erimage is this quite old lady.
Yeah, she's like an Erimage dragon, really.
She's been there from day one.
Yeah.
She was working with Krzysztof Kieslowski, so everybody's really scared of her. She has this personality, you know, that is very forceful and very interesting. She's, I don't know, in her 70s maybe?
Yeah, and she fell in love completely with the script.
And she
I
was
gave
like,
her the script
yeah.
at her desk, and she called me 2 days after, saying that, you know, I brought it home, and, you know, I was kind of bored. I mean, I was just watching some movies, and I decided to stop, and I started to read, and I couldn't stop. And she said, yeah, you have to apply with this. And I said, well, this is a complicated story because we don't have the money from Poland. We don't have the money yet from Greece. So actually, we are not eligible to do this. And she said, I will help. I mean, like, I love it so much, and it's so much about contemporary world. Oh, sorry. That you girls, you have to do this. And actually, she initiated also kind of a process for both of us. It was not just only for Poles or for us as a company. It was also here important for Greece that we had the person who started to push for the project.
Yeah, she was. She was like with Erimage. What it means is, you apply, and in order for your application to be accepted, to be discussed, there's a secretariat which is very technical. They're lawyers, and they check everything. So they check your funding, they check if you make your quota, etc. So I remember her. She was like, "Listen, guys, do what you have to do to pass through the secretariat, and then it's not a problem. This script will pass."
She's not very politically correct, what she's saying
I'm
right
not
now.
No.
You won't
I'm
read
fed
that
up
in the
with being
guidelines.
politically correct, by the way. If somebody wants to be politically correct about the mess we're in and how we have to work and the people that we have to deal with, and it's not just Greece, it's Poland as well, it's everywhere. But in Greece, if people want to be politically correct, it's fine. I'm fed up. I've been doing this too long. I don't care at all. Yeah, that's fine. But this is not the way to make movies. These people don't care about making movies. You can be politically correct now.
I'm not too, you know.
No, I know. But no, it's true. I mean, it's like some people say, you know, you don't want to know how sausages and laws are made. You don't want to know how eligibility to Erimage is made. But if it's made, it's made. And in my experience, with a Greek track record, you don't want to know how we make eligibility to a image, because for something that should take like 5 days of your time, it takes 50 days of your time, and you are completely alone. But anyway, but what is important is that there was a person who was not Greek, who did not know the director, who did not, anything, who read the script and said, guys, let's go for this. This is great. We have to do it. Now, this doesn't happen very often, certainly not so much in Greece and in people in film funds, but that was very encouraging. Like, it was like, okay, then we have to do this. So we organized a meeting in Berlin with the Greek representative at the time to Erimage, who was also a very forceful personality, like this lady. They really liked each other very much. His name is Alexis Rivas. And they said, and we plotted. I remember we were in a hotel in Berlin, the four of us, and we were plotting how to, they were like, guys, we can't help you with the film funds, but just make sure you are eligible, and then let's go along. And this is the technical story. Shall we go to the real story now, like how you make movies?
Yeah, I mean, something which is also important with this technical story is that we started actually from the end, because we should apply to Eurimage once everything else is collected. And here it was completely opposite side, because we got the money from Eurimage using our sources to make ourselves eligible, and actually we got the money from the other sources just because we had Eurimage, so we did that completely opposite side. Yeah. And probably the Polish Film Institute would not give us the money if we would not have this Eurimage grant. So
the Greek Film Center, the same thing. I don't think they would have given us the money if we did not have Eurimage. ERT was different. ERT would have given us the money. But because we had the Onassis Foundation and Faliro House Productions, we were able to make the eligibility, and then,
yeah, Poland was
once
much
you get
more
Eurimage, it's hard to refuse you. But normally with Eurimage, you have to get the film centers before. It's what Claudia says. So this was an exception, I guess.
Yeah, but also it was because it was a very good script. And this book was really helpful. So the way how we got Eurimage, not having the money from Polish Film Institute in Poland, was that we showed this book to HBO, and HBO doesn't invest into future movies in Poland at all. They did maybe 2 or 3, and they decided to stop. It was not even the Polish HBO decision. It was the central decision which came from US when they started to sell the company to other bigger dragons. So the lady said, I like it. I cannot help you guys, like I cannot give you the money for this project, and I cannot pre-buy it even, but if you need papers, I will help you with the papers, because we really want to support it. So we cannot give you the money, we cannot get into the contract with you, but any other support that is needed, I will help. And she wrote actually a very nice letter for Eurimage saying that if the movie is done, they will buy it from us, and actually they bought it. So at the end of the day, it's all true. But the beginning was quite complicated because it was not for real. I mean, she couldn't give us like a proper documents. It was just only like a very long letter of intent that she likes it, that she knows the basis, I mean the book, that we made a connection to the book. So I mean, just because of friends and the very, very good materials that Babis and Amanda prepared, we managed to get this Eurimage grant.
Babis is very bored.
No, I'm not bored.
Would you like to ask a question?
No, I don't have a question, technical things. For a director, the most difficult thing in co-production is to choose members for the crew, because you have to choose some people from the country you are co-production with. So this was for me the most difficult thing, because here we have our friends, we know what they can do, and we trust girls. Show us some showreels, some DOPs, art directors, and what else I don't remember. And
it's not true. We never saw DOPs.
We never saw DOPs. We saw art directors.
No, and actors.
We saw directors and actors.
Well,
yeah.
So
it was the most difficult thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, because Babis did not know the girls at the time. So again, this starts as a co-production because a producer speaks to a producer if it's the first time. I mean, now if we're going to do Babis's next film, it's much, much different. But a producer speaks to a producer, like a producer tries to find a way to make a movie. So while we were trying to find a way to make a movie, we discussed, it was like, yeah, let's go ahead. So then it becomes an issue of how you involve Poland. So then you have the director who doesn't know who is who, and he's like, what are you telling me now? Who are these girls? Poland, it has nothing to do with us, blah, blah, blah. So then the girls were like saying, perhaps we can involve an actress. So they would send show reels, and Babis would be like, no. And then you feel like you're the producer with a cigar telling him, you know, take this actress because then I can bring you money. It's a very delicate situation, and you feel like a butcher a lot of the time, and it's a bit unfair. But you have to balance both things because on one hand, it's your job to find the money and to propose a realistic solution. And on the other hand, there is an artist who is, you know, has something in his head and he needs to feel secure. And so in an ideal world, we would all know each other like I knew Klaudia before and she knew me. So already with Klaudia, when we started working for Pity, we trusted each other a lot. So it was never a problem with us. And there's no way to do co-productions, by the way, if you don't trust, or any kind of production, in my opinion, if you don't trust the other person. Because you can do contracts as much as you want. I'm not even very good at contracts. Klaudia is very good with contracts. But if you don't trust the other person, then it makes no sense at all. Like, because there's a lot of freak stories that you hear about stuff that has gone wrong. Some of it has happened to friends of ours. It's very difficult to communicate with somebody if they're in front of you, never mind if they are far away, and it always happens through Skype or phones. So it's important to know the other person and to feel safe with them. So for the director, that's a problem because you know the other producer, but they don't. And you usually don't have the money to say, okay, go to Poland for a week and hang out with them, have a couple of beers, meet a few people, and tell me if you like them. Because now that he's had the beers and the vodkas, he's fine. But before, he didn't know him.
Coming to Poland
and he likes coming to Poland now. But before, it's difficult. So you have to convince the director to trust you a little bit. And then also, you don't want him to trust you too much because you don't want him to choose to work with somebody that he doesn't like. So, for example, when the girls, they were sending suggestions for actors because film funds really like it when you have actors from their own countries, he would be like, seriously, no, we would try to invent ways. Oh, maybe the piano teacher could be, you know,
Speaking
Polish. We cut by the way, there's no piano teacher in the Finnish film anyway. So even if there was a Polish actress, it would never happen.
Yeah.
So what we ended up with, because, and every director works differently. If I can talk about Babis a little bit, after 3 movies now, I think that the most important for him is, you know, to give him some peace and quiet and to, he's looking at me funny, but he can say things, and to give him an environment where there's not too many new faces, that he knows the people there, so he feels safe and secure, and then you let him do his thing. It's very easy to work with him most of the time, but I think this is the most important thing for him. So to have Polish people on the set, I think it would have been difficult, which is why we decided in the end to postpone the problem. So we said, okay, we'll have a composer who is Polish.
Great one.
Yeah, but something which is important for co-productions, it's not that easy that you just make a friendship with the producer and you decide to apply for a grant. It's not only about the friendship between producers. You need to show your public bodies that there is a cultural exchange and that we have elements from both sides and we are creating together something. So this is not only about contracts and the financing, they are really taking care about those creative elements that we are exchanging. So it was actually quite complicated when we know already that the project is advanced and all the talents and crew members are already set and Babis knows whom he wants to work with. And there is actually no space to put any heads of departments, especially that the project was so much Greek and it was not even, like a little piece that we could dedicate to Poland or we could do in Poland. And we were really trying with those actors, which was stupid because it was really crazy idea to put Poles there. I mean, there was no space. And even for the movie, at the end of the day, it would be wrong idea. So, but for the fund, when they start to check the papers, I mean, it counts really how many heads of departments you have. And this is about this in some point, that they really want to see that this exchange is happening, that you cannot tell them just only, I like it. You can like it like I don't know what, but if you don't have those elements, you will never get the money from your fund. So here, because the project was advanced already, and you were working, guys, on this for quite a long of time, we came when already there was no space for a crew on a set. So we had to choose something from a post-production. But if there is a chance, and you think, guys, about having a post-production structure, it's good to start from this. Like, if you are looking for other countries, just to see what kind of opportunities you have and how much the director is open, and actually which paths you can discover for other crew members, because for our fund, I mean for Polish Film Institute, and I think that this works also for others and also for Eurimage, they are really checking like if this exchange is happening and if this is for real and what this could give us to the project. It's not only about bringing people and fly them somewhere. It's really, they are really trying to understand why you are doing this co-production. If this is only for money, forget. Usually you don't get it. If you can prove that those people are matching and they are doing great job together, it counts. And probably, I mean, if you have this good track record with co-productions, so they see that you did that many times for real, they could trust you also, because they see that you are putting those puzzles together, that you have a guy from Romania and guy from France and a guy from Greek, and they are working together. That's the meaning of co-productions. It's not really only about financing and reaching some other strange countries. It is about this at the end of the day, to put those people together and to let them create something.
Make a silly question. Let's imagine that we take the Polish actors to play in our movie, and at the edit we didn't use the material. What happens in this case?
I have never had such an issue.
It's a way to do a trick.
To make a special edited version for Polish Film Institute?
No. To take the money, you say, I will take Polish actors. You go to take two scenes with them, and then you throw away it, edit.
With tricks, we can talk about this later, having a cigarette. But for a Polish Film Institute, you have a list of eligible heads of departments you have to present, and actor is not enough, that you need to have one or two. So if one is not in the movie, then you have a sound engineer, which you cannot cancel from the credits.
Okay, yeah, of course.
But we have a question, I'll come to you in a minute, but I was told recently from another film fund, not in Poland, that, listen, we take an actor, we fly them to the set, we fly them to Greece, they are there even as an extra, and then if you want, cut him in the editing, it doesn't matter, my film fund will be happy. Yes, I can tell you who told me that.
Okay.
We have a question, sir. Hello.
Basically, what was the total budget and how much money came from Poland?
The total budget was 706, because that was the only figure that we could be eligible with in Eurimage. Normally, this movie would be higher than that. But when we were, making the sausage, there was no other way to make it. The minimum co-production according to the European Convention, is 80% for the majority and minimum 20% for the minority, if it's only two countries. So Poland had 20%. If they had 19 on paper, we couldn't do it. And so in theory, I think it was 144 something for Poland and 565 for Greece. We didn't really have that money, obviously.
We didn't have it either in Poland.
But, but this is... yeah. Yeah, that's the sausage. I mean, sometimes I try to fantasize what it would be like if you ever really had the money that you say you do. I mean, how would it be like to be paid properly? But I think we're far away from, I am far away from that. I hope Klaudia is not.
So if you didn't have the money, how'd you make the movie then?
No, we just didn't have as much as the whole budget because nobody got paid.
You have to make the movie.
How much we had?
Yeah. It's okay.
The question
No,
is how
it's
much
not-
money we did in fact have. What we had, shall I say the figure? Is it okay to say the figure?
Well, for me, yes.
We had about 540.
But there is a
550,
difference.
and we invested our fees, all of us, and part of our overheads, which is what the company needs to stay alive.
Yeah, but also part of those money we had in cash, like the number that Amanda just said. And for example, in Poland, our partner was a post-production company, so they were not investing the cash, but they were doing part of their services. Like they calculated the amount, and it was kind of their investment to the project.
It's called in-kind, yeah. So it was in-kind, and also we also invested our money. But it was 30 through 2, and then, which is something that Babis likes to do, we did it in L as well. After we edited, he said, well, I really need 3 days that we cut from the original script. So we did 3 days, which always start at kind of second unit, and then it ends up being normal 3 days. But it's different when you do it after you have a first or a second cut, because you really know you're going to use it. Although that wasn't true in this case either. Yes, Mr. Iliadis.
Those reshoots in your budget, or they were something that?
No. No, we didn't have it in the budget, but 2 things happened. Well, one was that we got an MG from a sales agent after the shoot. So we showed the material and we got some money afterwards. MG is the minimum guarantee, so when an international sales agent wants to represent the movie and start selling it in territories, your ideal scenario is that they give you a minimum guarantee, which is like an advance. So they give you money up front, and then they deduct it from the income they bring to you. But the movie did well financially because Babis is who he is. So we were able to do it.
One more.
Yes, please.
At what point did you think of making a movie in English? Why did you not end up making it in English? And if you had, would it capitalize on the same financing structure you imagined?
So, no, that was very early on. That was after Cinemart. Cinemart was January 2014. So we didn't really have a draft then. I think we had a treatment or maybe a first draft. And Christos Konstantakopoulos from Faliro House, he suggested, he's like, why don't we make this in English? This is a great script. And with an English cast, we can do different things. And it was a more optimistic time, 2014, I think. So we did, in fact, think of that. We went to the States, to Austin in Texas, because Christos was like, why don't you visit Austin? And we did a scout there. We saw locations. We got the feel of the place. Babis wasn't really into it. And there was a point that he wasn't into it, which is, this is a story, which is something that this guy who now works at Amazon Studios, he was, you remember, Ram Murali, who was at Kinology at the time, and now he's at Amazon. He said he really loved the pitch at Cinemart, and when I told him, and he gave us a lot of paperwork again for the Greek Film Center and stuff. And when I told him that we're thinking of doing it in English in America, he was like, no, don't do that. This is a story about the old world. This is not an American story at all. This is a story about a Europe that's dying, because this kind of world doesn't really exist. So Babis didn't like it in Austin, I don't think.
Yeah, I was a little bit afraid.
He was a little bit afraid, and then there would be new people, and who would these people be?
As always.
and all that. He did write a very beautiful letter to,
Paul Giamatti.
to Paul Giamatti, which we never sent, for Paul Giamatti to play the lead actor, which was a beautiful letter. I wish we could, publish it. And the answer is no, we couldn't have kept the same structure. In my experience, the reason we also did it is because, you make your first film and then you think there's so much I can do here. Babis El had premiered at Sundance, so there were a lot of connections that we could work on, but only in the English language. Most people are not interested in America in anything that's not in the English language, except if it's finished and it's Parasite or, the 5 big successes, Cold War. But when it comes to funding, it's impossible to do that if it's not in English language. And no, we couldn't finance it that way at all.
The movie in English in Greece, could you still have gotten all the European money you got?
Well, you can do this,
Yeah.
but if you go to Eurimages, I think that there is a great idea behind this to protect European cinema and our origin language movies. If that would be that easy, that every English language movie could come here and eat our funds, we would probably die very, very quickly because of commercial aspects. And what is really great about this idea that our funds are protecting us, that you can keep your original stories in your original language and still put them on the market. So, in theory, there is nothing written in the guidelines which tells you no. But whenever they see that the American financing is coming with those huge agencies and everything, which is not about really making a movies, it's only about business itself, they don't really like it. That's my feeling. And we are also producing and co-producing with the States. And more, it's coming from here. I think that it's eating really some part of our hearts that we are putting into our original local projects. So I like this idea that you guys decided to keep it. And sometimes it looks to you like a good opportunity to go to the States and make a movie with the States. But people are not aware about so many barriers and limits that are coming from there. And they are also not aware about the legal system and financing system that it's taking huge portion of your budget that is completely not visible on the screen. And I think that the people from Eurimages, they know this. They know this, and they know that more and more we can keep, in Europe and collect from our funds, it's better for our projects. And still we can do them just because we have this system. So it protects both ways. It protects talents still, so we have more freedom here. And we are not thinking that much about the economical success of our movies. Sometimes we should, yes, maybe more, but it's not about this. It is about making those projects from hearts, and this system helps us. So I don't think we would manage to get Eurimages if we would have American partners on board. If you have Sundance Institute that helps you with development, good point for you. But if you have American financiers that are coming, they start to be suspicious.
And also on the other side as well, private financiers, equity, especially the American ones, they want corridors and they want to recoup their money first, etc., etc. Eurimages does not allow that, nor do the public funds. The Greek Film Center, the PFI, they don't allow corridors. So it's not exactly, that's why it's called soft money. There's this terminology called soft money, which is good money, which
is very good
means
for
they don't want
exactly,
it back. It's public money. So the Greek Film Center doesn't want its money back. The national televisions don't want their money back. So that's soft money. They take their percentage and they have a very decent cut. It's a very fair deal. The American or the private investor, the first thing they want is to get their money back. So it's a totally different way of doing business, which Eurimages does not allow. And Eurimages is a good way to push your public bodies, because in fact, Eurimages is, they answer to the ministers of culture of all the countries. So we have to all agree. That's why there's the European Convention on Culture. There's European conventions on other things as well. Not everybody always respects them, as we all know. But in culture, nobody really cares that much. So they kind of respect it because nobody cares that much and there's not so much money involved. But I agree with Klaudia. The system protects something very decent.
Yeah, so coming back to PT, when we started to discuss what kind of creative elements we can give to Poland, actually there were not many, so we could do like a part of a post-production in Poland. And there was a need to have at least one head of department that will come from Poland. So we were trying with those actors and actresses, you know the story already. And then we come up with an idea to maybe connect Babis with a Polish musician and Polish composer who is not actually very famous as a composer in Poland, but he's a great musician. And he's kind of avant-garde guy who doesn't work with a cinema very often. But, well, the guys started to talk and they had the first Skype meeting. And the composer called me saying like, I met a friend. And this guy is gorgeous. This guy is crazy. Like, I don't know what. I want to work with him. That guy. And at that time, you both had mustache, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
What happened to his mustache? Gone?
There sometime, well, it's gone now.
Great.
But it's important to remember that when all this was happening, Babis had never met Klaudia or Beata. And he, face to face, I think he met Klaudia on the first day of shooting because she came here for 3 days. And Beata he met at Sundance when we had our, right before Sundance when we went to do the post-production image in Poland. So after almost at the end of the film. And so this is all happening when there are people who you don't know, trying to suggest to you people you don't also know so they can work together.
For a director is to trust the co-production, the other producer that didn't know. So we need the girls, I get the good vibes from them, so I feel secure. This is the main thing for me, not the technical things that the girls saying and talking about. The first thing is to trust the other part.
But that's why it was so difficult that nobody knew anybody.
Yeah, that's why.
And we had to find people to work with and even to suggest. Klaudia had read the script and she had met Babis on Skype, but she didn't really know him. It's different when you know somebody, you can suggest people. And I didn't really know I don't know the Polish crew, so I didn't know who to suggest. So all this is happening and you have to, you have to trust, but you also have to wonder, how am I doing this? Maybe I'm suggesting the wrong person. You don't really know if you're doing it right.
Yeah, and this is the risk sometimes we take. And, well, if you work more and more and more in these co-production structures or systems, you know more and more people. And the thing is that European producers that are producing a lot in those co-production systems, they meet each other more often than we meet our families. So I travel and I meet her more often on the festivals than I meet my mom. And then you know that if you share the same taste and you speak about movies and you know that you watch the same things and you like the same people and you make a friendship with the same people, it's much easier to get into this kind of a trust. But yes, sometimes we have to risk a lot, and very often it's also the wrong decision because we don't know. But this is also something about co-producing. Without this risk, there is sometimes no fun and no money. So we are doing this because we want to share our experience sometimes, our talents, and see what will happen based on this. And actually, our issue was quite complicated because we realized in one moment when we were in a post-production that it might not work, which was a huge question mark what to do then. And it was a real problem for us because we didn't make our fans disappointed, but first of all, we didn't want our movie to be heard because our decisions which comes from financing. And we had already Polish Film Institute, Eurimage and all this financial stuff in place, but we realized that we might not need the music for the movie and what to do then. So this is exactly the question you gave, like what happens if you don't have your actor in a cut? And we faced this situation with a PT. And that was our decision to try and to convince Babis and this Polish musician to work together, although we knew that it's not a natural situation because there was no space for the music, for the composed music.
Basically,
But we found a way.
We found a way.
Basically, what happened is that as the movie was being edited, and Babis works with the same editor always, so they took a long time, and this was really a movie that, although it was very well scripted, it was also created in editing. During editing, they started working on putting music on it, and they started putting classical music, and really, like very well-known classical music. I mean, Mozart Requiem is the best-selling record of classical music, I think, ever. And they
And
even
we have a jazz musician.
and we had a jazz musician.
Avant-garde jazz musician.
Yeah.
But the classical music really, really worked. And actually, since then, this piece of music, Lacrimosa, I've heard it everywhere, from The Crown to, and I'm wondering, were we the first or?
Yeah, no.
But it really, really worked. I mean, if you want to know how insane they were, they just took something from YouTube and then they didn't remember what it was. And then when we were trying to get the rights, we couldn't find the right piece because they didn't know where. They were like, no, I think it's this. No, it's not this. And it's like, no, we can't take another one because we've edited in this pace and this was a very slow requiem. And we were in the post-production at the end and we couldn't get the rights because the Karajan, we found one that was very similar and it was a Karajan,
Yes.
from the Karajan estate for some reason. At that time, I guess there was some sort of transaction going on. They were like, we're not clearing any rights at the moment for the next 6 months. And it's like, no, it's this. And they didn't even know. So note to people, when you put something, in case you might like it, have an idea what it is. Because then, so we're facing all that. And Babis doesn't want classical music. He's like, we don't need any music now. And I'm like, well, we have any score at all, which would work great if it wasn't for the co-production. But we had all decided to transfer the problem to the end, to the post-production. And the problem with transferring the problem to the end is that there's nowhere else to go afterwards. So and then Babis doesn't like to get technical, and it's not his job, but if you try to explain how the co-production, like, really, listen, if we don't get the jazz guy now, or some kind of Polish guy now, then I can't tell you what kind of problems I'm in. Like, we don't have the funding. I have to return the money, so we can't make the film. And he would look at me funny, like that I'm saying something which makes no sense at all.
But we figure out.
But we figured it out in the end. What we did is, and then also there's another guy there who thinks he's going to score a movie. So you have to talk to that guy as well. You have to explain to him that, the director wants something else, so let's find a solution. So what we found...
He sent us a lot of...
He sent us a lot, yeah. You don't want me to talk about that. You don't... Sausages, how we make the sausages? So Klaudia had to figure this one out. She had to talk to the jazz man.
We're in suspense. What happened?
No, I mean, the
Give
good
us
thing...
small pieces.
Yeah.
Very small piece.
Yeah, but the good thing about this person was that he's not the real composer with this ego of really making a huge score to the movie. That's why it was a good choice also, that we decided to go with avant-garde artist who could understand at the end. So yeah, that was a long talk, like, we actually don't need that because whenever he was watching the movie, for him the music was needed, obviously. He heard the music already in his head, so how to tell him that it's not needed at all? And also, when you put them two together in a room, nobody says, in this room, having those two guys, that it's not needed. It's like, yeah, we need to think about this, maybe that, and you are trying to make a triangle, like, oh. But that was really good that this guy could understand.
We are
And
good friends now.
Yeah, and we are still friends. That's also the
And
benefit.
the madness continues.
So you got one very expensive track, basically.
Yes.
N-
It
no,
depends how you
no.
call it expensive, because we managed to raise a lot of money because of that. The film wouldn't have been made.
Yeah, and also the work he has done before he knew that this will be only one piece was, I
Was a
mean, the
lot.
work that was done by him. So I cannot complain that he did
Yeah.
only one piece, because it was not only one piece.
He
it
was on
our
tour and
decision.
stops to record things. I remember.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
nobody told him, because these two people in a room, they were like, they liked each other. You know, Bobby's really liked the guy. He would come back to me afterwards and say, I like the guy very much, but we don't need the music. I said, what did you say?
Yeah.
But this is the thing, again, to go back to co-productions. I mean, this is a technical problem and it's an artistic problem. And of course, you have to respect both sides, but you have to figure a way. And a person who is here and who was a co-producer in the movie once told me, you know, in this movie, he was a co-producer. He is a co-producer. He told me, you know, most European producers are glorified accountants. And it's important not to be that. Because when we discuss about the technical, which is how I feel when I go to Babis and I say, you know, get this actress. I feel like a glorified accountant. And I have to remind myself what Christos told me, that, you know, it's important not to be a glorified accountant. But at the same time, you have to do both. So this is the way we raise the money. And it's important to try to find a solution. And it's important to be open because, I don't know, maybe Bobby thinks of this guy for the next movie because they like each other and he liked his music. And it's important to import and export people. You know, we try not to export money. We want to import money when we are a majority co-production. So basically, we try to get Polish money to come here, and they try to get the Greek money to go there. But it's important that people are traveling. So since the co-production started, which, I mean, they started in the 90s in Europe, but in Greece, we started in the late zeros. There's a lot of Greek heads of departments who are traveling and working on movies. And it's not always because of reasons of making the co-production. Sometimes it has nothing to do with that. But it's important that you have this incentive for people to travel and for people not to be closed. And, you know, I think our movie is richer because we did it with Poland than it would have been if we were just ourselves and what we know. So sometimes it's good to get out of your comfort zone. I don't know if Babis will agree.
Yes, I agree. Now we are family.
Now you agree.
Yeah, now we agree. Now I have the experience to agree. That's why.
Oh,
And I
no, now
think-
he goes to Poland, he's very excited. Yeah, I'm going to Poland, I'm going to have vodkas with Klaudia.
And as you see, we copy each other with our sweaters,
Yeah.
so we are a family.
So your sound designer was a Greek person?
No,
Yes.
Yeah, in a way.
We did the sound design. Well, normally the Poles wanted to get all the sound, all the post sound, and this is usually a problem because sound design takes a long time. It takes 1.5 months, 2 months, and directors don't want to do it somewhere that is not in their country. So, but mixing counts for 5 points usually. So what we did, and we usually do, I think, is we did most of the sound design here with our guy, and then we took our guy to Poland, and he co-mixed with the Polish mixer. So in fact, because both of them are good people, they shared the credit, and we got the points. But again, it's about people, that it was okay to do that.
And you did some post-production work on the images as well in Poland?
We did all the grading in Poland.
Ah,
It was a stressful time.
Yeah, but speaking about this, that there is always the moment when you have to start this this exchange, and maybe this is not an example from those projects we are discussing here right now, But we did also the movie, it was 4 years ago in Iceland, which was called Under the Tree. And it was the collaboration with the same producer again. So yes, we became families very often after such an experience, because making a movie is very dynamic and you have to talk a lot really with your producing partner. And when we were doing this Under the Tree, we brought the technical crew to Iceland. And you know, Iceland is a kind of small island. And they are shooting a lot, especially nowadays. And they liked our technicians so much that those guys, they are working there much more often than in Poland right now. So, and actually that was a very nice for me when I've heard from the people from Iceland that actually they are very happy to make another co-production and another co-production, because even if we don't get the money from Poland, they want to use Polish technicians. But the reason to start was actually the co-production that we were making. We were searching for people, how to exchange them. So we sent a sound guy and a boomer and some technicians, and that's how it started. And now they are almost Icelanders. So you never know. Sometimes it's not just only one shot and only one experience. For those who are now working in Iceland, it was just the beginning of something much bigger. So using this opportunity of exchanging crews and heads of departments is actually something that I really like about this European style of working, and that the convention is pushing us to do this, that this is not really about the financing and the legal stuff only and having only financial opportunities. This is about this. And well, there are probably several examples I can give to you when we met people, we pushed people to work together, and now they are friends and they continue without having this purpose of collecting money from European sources.
Hello. Would you mind repeating the steps, the financial steps? Like you said, you started from the Onassis Foundation, right?
For the second phase, we started with Faliro House. We went together to the Onassis Foundation, and I think we had applied to the Greek Film Center and no, not ERT. We had applied to the Greek Film Center from before, but it was yet again a period when they were not, functioning. So we didn't have any money from them. And ERT, I think the Film Fund started in 2015 again, so we applied afterwards. So that's how it went. Faliro House, Onassis, then ERT, then Erimage, then Greek Film Center, then PFI. Correct.
How long did that take?
Correct. Am I correct?
Yeah. So as I said before, we got Polish Film Institute just because we blackmailed in some point Polish Film Institute to give us money, because we had already a rematch, and that would be a huge shame to do it without Polish Film Institute money. So that's why it worked opposite side, that it was a reason actually why they had to give us the money. But that was actually the proper...
Yeah.
How long did that process take?
Well, we started with working on the film at the end of 2013 as a scripting process. We went to Cinemart in Rotterdam in January 2014. We tried to make the movie in 2015, gap year, and then we ended up shooting in October 2016. And the movie premiered in 2018. January 2018 in Sundance. So that makes 4 years, right?
Yeah.
But I think 1 year was lost because of the Greek situation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, amazing. No questions.
Well, the three of us can keep on talking, just because we like each other, but if there's no questions.
I came up with a question. Would you do something differently if you shot the same film again, the production process?
Many things, I'm sure. Do you mean for the production, or is it a question for Babis?
In
as
terms
well?
of, no, I'm not talking directorial, I'm talking about production, in terms of how you organized it, not the shooting process, of how you raise the money and stuff like that.
Well, it's like speaking about difficult moments. Well, I mean, I'm speaking from my perspective. It was very difficult to get the money for this movie in Poland. Because, well, although so many people like the project, like the script, the committee was saying only one head of departments. Actually, the story is quite difficult, not for audience, blah, blah, blah. They had like many arguments for that. And we didn't have the proper track record as a company to prove that time. So I would prefer not to say things that I'm saying here, how we managed to do that. But in that time, it was actually the only one way how we could proceed with this. So that's why, I mean, we are saying something which probably you shouldn't do. I mean, if you go to school and the teacher would show you how to prepare the co-production, they would never tell you, like, you know, organize a paper from a broadcaster, do this and this and this, push for a remarsh, make secret meetings in Berlin. No, I mean, nobody will tell you such a things. But we are pushed because if you see opportunity for your project, you go for this opportunity because you really want to make this movie happen. And then sometimes you don't even think about consequences because probably this is the only one direction that you have right now in front of you, and you have to run this direction. So it's probably easy to comment on this right now, that, yeah, we could do it differently. But then we were under pressure. We really wanted to make it together. And we made our choices. At the end of the day, we made a movie. So we are successful, I have to say. And we like each other and we like the movie.
I completely agree. This was scenario number 3, because the first scenario was USA, the second scenario was guerrilla, you know, just us and our friends. And so this was the third scenario. I don't think there was another way. There's minor things that we've discussed that we would have done differently. I know Klaudia had issues with her timing for the PFI. She thought she should have applied later or earlier, or, you know, there's things. But as she says, in retrospect, it's easy to say. But I think it was make or break. And we got a break from Erimage at the end, which made our film funds give us the money, because the private money and the public benefit money was not enough, would not have been enough. And also, we made Elle that way, Babis's first film. We made it very differently. The second film, you can't do it like that again. You need to pay people properly, and you need to do it properly. And also, Greece in 2016 was much different than Greece in 2011, also in film production. So you can't do the same stuff, or I can't do it.
Here's something you need to know when you are making co-productions. It's that you cannot be closed just only in the film business, because when the movie started to travel, I was traveling also with the movie and with the previous one too. And I never wanted to appear on a stage with directors, because if you are a minor co-producer, you actually don't know so many nice things about the process. And you cannot gossip and you cannot play with the audience. Because if they give you a questions, your word is just absolutely your part that you have done in your country. And you know, I mean, I have a great Greek story behind me, because with the first movie with a park, I was invited in London to the stage. I said, well, no, I don't want to go there. I don't know anything about the process. We really joined the project as a last party, so what can I discuss with the audience? And the director, she told me, no, come to the stage. Nobody gives any questions to producers, especially to minor co-producers. And you know, first question that was given was to me about the economical collapse in Greece. I was like, Jesus. And the second question was actually like, you know, you work with Faliro House. Faliro does so many things also in the States. Could you explain us how they are doing this? I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know. And then when we won awards in Odessa, again, there was a Q&A, and they started to question me about economical system in Greece. And you are really in a trap because, I mean, it's like you cannot answer just, you know, probably Babis and Amanda could answer you better, but it's only me. Yeah, I remember your plane
Babis
broke 2
escaped
hours
from certain death because they called him up to go to Odessa and pick up the award, and the flight was cancelled. It was Aeroflot, what was it, Ukrainian Airlines, and they said the flight is cancelled. So I said, he said, yeah, I went to the airport and the flight didn't travel, so maybe I'm lucky to be alive, which is something that Babis really has a big connection with. Yeah. But he escaped certain death, yes.
Okay, question number 2. Which is the quality in a script that would make you go for a co-production rather than choose to be a singular producer? Or do you not do that? I mean, or why would you stay the only producer on a project, and why would you choose to have a co-production from another country?
Every project is different. I couldn't tell you in very, very rational terms how you go about it. And also this changes a lot. You start with an idea, then that doesn't work, you go someplace else. But I think you work on instinct a lot as well. Or I feel after you've worked for a few years, you get an instinct about things. So sometimes you think, oh, this would work well in France. I don't know why you think this, and maybe you're wrong. Or Klaudia would like this. After a while, to co-produce is also to work with the people you know and want to spend time with. It's the same as filmmaking. You know, it's a very tough business, but one of the reasons you're doing it is because there's other stuff around it that doesn't have to do with your paycheck. It's a lot about people. So, you know, Klaudia and I, we always try to find something to do together, and actually very happily we are doing something together again. And why would you not choose to work with somebody that you like and trust and who is very good at what they do? She's really good at what she does. Like, I'm not very good with contracts. I'm not really good with paperwork. She can vouch for that. She's very good with that. So she's a normal person, you know, she's not a glorified accountant. The misconception, especially in small countries like Greece, is that you make co-productions because you find money. So that's not exactly true, because you find money or you have the opportunity to have money on paper, but what does that money cost you? You know, in PT, this money cost us a composer, for example. It's not a cost, it's a benefit. But when you're a small country and you co-produce with big countries being Germany, France, Belgium, oftentimes it costs more than it benefits you. There's the other benefit of the prestige, you know, that you have a good French co-producer, you go to your film fund and you say, you know, I have so-and-so, you have to give me the money. So you know, you wrangle things around. But I think it's instinct. Not all projects are co-productions. Most of the time, the ideal situation would be if you just have the money in the bank and go do it without having to do all this. But sometimes you work with people that you want to work with again, and you think, this script, the Poles might like it. It's not all projects, it's not all scripts. And not everything is for everybody, and I don't know how we make these assumptions. This is, I mean, Babis has a hit in Eastern Europe. I don't know why. We keep getting awards in the Ukraine, in the, you know, something about what he does works there. You never know, but somehow you do.
Yeah, and I think that also there were times when the producer was actually the guy who was sitting with cigars. Like that's how we imagined that from Poland, from 80s and 70s and 60s. And I think that those times are over. And we are in a very difficult financial situation in Europe. This is something that I actually admire about the States, that they have this cash flow system and the bond system and everything, that you can go home as a producer and you can sleep and you don't have to think about, those financial issues that you are starving because no banks are providing cash flow to your projects, and you need to really be very creative in a way. And having a co-producers means that you are not lonely with your problems and you have someone to call to, because you cannot call your fund, because you cannot tell them that you are in troubles. No, you have to pretend everything is fine. You cannot call to your distributors because they will start thinking, okay, maybe they will not release the movie on problematic. You cannot call to your broadcasters because also they are financing your project and they are waiting for release. And you cannot call to your financiers because really you want them to think that everything is fine. So the only people you can call and share your problems with are your co-producers, because maybe they will find a way how to help you. And this is something that, when I was saying at the beginning that we decided to make a company who will be co-producing, the idea was that we don't want to be alone with those projects. And we don't know really, without having this financial system that helps us, we don't know how to do this without having a strong financial background. And also we don't want to be lonely. We want to share things with people. And very often we share also credits. We are not even calling our partners co-producers. We are saying that we are producing together, and which gives you a right to call, and that gives her a right and myself a right to call her in the middle of the night saying like, listen, I cannot sleep. It's another sleepless night and I don't want to do it. I have no idea how to do it. So it gives you something definitely more than only financial benefits sometimes. And you don't need to have necessary reasons, like it doesn't have to be the co-production because you are shooting in Poland or your characters are Polish. Sometimes you know someone who can help you because we know people around the world. We know sales agents, distributors, financiers, and other institutions that we can bring to projects because we have good track record with them, or they trust us, or simply they want to make another project with us. That's also how we are helping to each other. But for me, really, this opportunity that I can call her and say, I don't know how to manage things, it's super important. And she will always help me. That's the thing, that you are not really lonely with your project. And if you are producing together, it means that she's tracking the project as well. So she knows what's happening there. And your problems are real for her as well. So it's like, and for me, it's super important that I'm not really lonely with this. That's why I still have my family, my kid, and I have a normal life because I'm not starving with those co-productions, which are really not easy nowadays, especially with our financial systems, that we don't know what to do. Very often we are in troubles. Very often we have to delay things. We have to postpone things. We are asking for help. And sometimes we don't know creatively what to do because our directors and talents are pushing us for things which we know that we cannot manage. And that is also the reason why we are co-producing, that you have someone who can help you.
It's very lonely to do this alone, to be a producer. I have a company on my own. Klaudia has a business partner, and I don't like it. I don't like this feeling that it's all on my head. Like last night when she came, we just hadn't seen each other for a while, and we started discussing about our everyday life, and we had the same problems, which is, you're not as lonely, and B, it puts you in perspective. You think, I always think, pity the poor Greek, and you see, okay, it's pretty bad, but really the European experience is more or less the same in different levels. Yeah, okay, we went through some mad stuff, but really it's important to remember that it's not about 9 million people, 10 million people, or I don't know, 30, is Poland 50 million people? 38 million people. It's a European experience. And then you translate that into a human experience, etc. But it's about it's a more philosophical question about how you view the world. You want to be alone, you want to build walls, you want to think you're unique.
And for me, this meeting is also about some dreams that came true. That when I met Amanda, I told her that I have a dream, and my dream was actually to meet one day at work one of the famous French directors. And I was trying hardly really to even serve a tea on a set, but nobody accepted my CV. So I was starting with the French, I was pushing them, then I saw that this director is making co-production with Germans, so I started with the Germans, no answer. So then I asked Polish Film Institute to help me. They were trying, no answer. And I said, okay, I have to give up. I will never meet this woman on the set. And then I shared this with Amanda, and one day she called me saying one of my friends came to Athens, and we started to discuss our projects. He asked me how it was with the park, so I told him that I met crazy Polish girls, and they helped me at the end. And he said, some crazy Polish girl is also calling us, saying that she wants to make a movie with us because she realized that we are producing this director. So she told him that probably it's me. And I managed to make this project with them together. And that was the kind of a dream that came true. You have friends like everywhere in the world, and they will help you. So that was the best recommendation. Polish Film Institute could recommend whatever, but actually she was the only one good person in this process who made it happen.
And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we had a film fund here that you could go for minority co-productions and not have to beg for things? And you could really, because I don't do minority co-productions. I would like to, but I don't do them because most of the time it's too traumatic to wait for the film funds to come through. And it's already traumatic when there's a Greek director who's here and he knows all the mess. But it's very embarrassing to me to have to share this to people abroad. So I can't have, a Croat producer or director calling me and saying, when is the film fund going to reply? We submitted a year and a half ago. So when this happened with these people, I was like, wouldn't it be nice if I could go and offer something to them as well? And wouldn't it be nice to do some minority co-productions? And I'm trying to get my head around it. And actually, one problem that we have now with the Polish Film Institute is that we want to do another co-production together, but so far they've given money to 3 Greek films, and Greece has never helped with any Polish films. So, they're not France, so they're not doing it for reasons of cultural imperialism. It's a different... They're like, we want reciprocity. And we give so little money even to the Greek projects, and we're not attractive at all as minority, even though we should be, because we're cheap. And now we have the cash rebate as well, but that only involves shooting. You can't do it on the post-production, which is an easy way of co-producing it, because most films are to be shot in their language in their country. So the Poles are doing this pretty well. Most of Europe is doing this pretty well, doing minority co-productions. Greece, not so well, which is a problem because you have to give back. We go as Greek projects and we get money, and we can't offer that to our co-producer in return. And film funds need to hear this.
So you gave to this meeting, to this discussion, the title Co-productions Without Pity. And obviously you're playing with the title of the film. But is there something really important there in the title? Like, is it a job without pity for the producers?
Babis has no pity, let me tell you, for the producers. None at all. I think it's a very hard business. There's times when you feel you're not hard enough, because it involves interesting people with different dispositions and a lot of people condensed in a very short period of time and a lot of money and a lot of responsibility, and things can go wrong really quickly. So, yeah, I think there is no pity except when it's actually people you know and you like and you trust and who you call in the middle of the night. So yes, it makes a difference. I don't know what the director does when they go insane, but it's important to me to have people who are in my position that I can talk to. And I'm very happy to say that there's a few that we can do that with. There's some people we can do that with. I don't know what the director does. Drives a producer crazy, maybe. Bobby, what do you do when you feel alone?
I'll take some calls.
In the middle of the night.
Sorry, how do you feel about we and our friends option that you said before? You said there are 3 options of making a movie, and the second one was the guerrilla one.
No.
We are not
With
friends.
this movie, there were 3 we started one way, we went to another one, and then we ended up with how I feel about guerrilla.
Yeah.
It's fine. Go for it.
I mean,
I don't know what you mean.
that would work on that specific movie.
No, it
No.
wouldn't have worked on that specific movie because it was our second movie. So we had already done a kind of guerrilla movie before.
L, yeah.
Yeah, it was done in a guerrilla kind of way. And I don't think that an established producer can do guerrilla, really. Nobody will accept me to go and say, come work for free. Like for a movie, I ask for favors all the time, but not for a movie. And I can't accept me doing that. It's very, very risky nowadays. I mean, you can even go to prison for debts from a guerrilla movie. And I'm not sure that we have the right to, how do I phrase this? What does it mean if I go and say, come work for free, everybody, to make a movie? Why am I doing this? Then I should be one of everybody. They don't need me to do this. If I failed at my... Every day we don't shoot, we don't have the money, is a day I failed at my job. My job is to find the way to do it, and my job is to guarantee that people, pay their rent, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm not doing this, then what am I doing? It's different to say, okay, this is a very specific project, and we can't do it, and then even, we've tried everything, but we still think it should be done, so then I'll help. But I can't be the one to do it, and I'm not offering anything to it. But I can help. I can cook, and I can, clean, I can drive. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to say about that. I mean, do you do guerrilla in Poland? Maybe that's an interesting question. Because, 10 years ago we did guerrilla here, and that's how we...
Well, yes and no, but it's very individual when it comes to the projects. That some projects really needs that. I mean, it's better to do it that style, that you can improvise a lot. But this is really specific of the project. And for some of the movies that we have done, there were not many, I have to say. That actually there was one which was a short one. We decided to go exactly with the crowd and not wait for anything, which was a good decision, I have to say. It was a very risky decision, but there was this 11th November when there was like a massive protest on the streets. We didn't have insurance, we didn't have anything, but we knew that if we want to get the atmosphere for the project, that's actually the right thing to do. So we were risking a lot, which I don't really like in a professional work, because you are responsible for people and for everything that's happening around you. So if you would ask me if that is the decision we are doing, I mean, it's never a proper decision to be done, to make it. But yeah, I mean, that was the only one movie I remember when we decided to go for it, and actually you can see the benefit. The movie is very well done, just because you have this atmosphere of danger atmosphere there. But no, well, I'm trying not to do this.
And
if
actually,
I don't have to.
Yeah, Elle wasn't guerrilla in the way you suggested. I mean, there was some money in the bank, and actually, we didn't have a lot of money, but the money that we had it kind of in the bank, so that really helped. It was just a different way of doing it. We said it's the communist system, which our production manager invented because he was trying to find a way to figure it out. And first of all, it started with Bobby's, because Bobby's changed the script. The original script involved real bears and snow and mountains and forests. So they changed the script so that we could do it, without having to move from Athens and still give it some kind of art direction and a world of its own, when in fact it's just locations outside in natural daylight. So the tone always comes from the director. He did that, and then it was the communist system, which we say it's the communist system, that everybody got paid the same. So the DP and the props guy, they would get the same salary. So everybody would get the same salary. It was a different time, so the social security system was easier to wiggle, so we didn't have to pay a fortune to social security, and still we were legal. And we told the crew, not the heads of departments, but the crew, like camera, grip, we said, listen, if you get a commercial, like for 2 days, go do it. But just find a replacement, bring your replacement to the set, and you pay them. Don't make me have to. They come out of your fee, which also is illegal nowadays, so you can't do it. So they knew, so they made some, the focus puller and the grip, they, had 3-4 days of a good merokamato, good daily fee, and that helped them. So we didn't, cut their chances. And then when we got the funding that was blocked, because Elle had been greenlit by the Greek Film Center for quite a good sum of money, but at the time there was no money and nobody was signing any contracts. It was 2010, 2011. And so when we did get the funding, we gave money to the crew back, which again is hard to do, but nowadays, but we did it. And everybody was happy with that, because we did, in fact, pay them more. And then some other people tried to do the same system, and they were calling people. But it's important to remember that these people were friends of ours. We knew these people. I didn't call somebody and say, come and work. Like, there were people that Babis worked with in commercials for many years. They'd made a lot of, their living out of his commercials, and they actually liked him. So they really wanted to help out in his first film. They didn't do it for me. They did it for him.
This kind of system is all over London. In the UK, a lot of films are being shot exactly like that. With 150K, where everybody gets paid minimum wage as a waiter, blah, blah, blah. So it's everywhere in Europe, adding up to what you said earlier.
London's not Europe, which is a great tragedy, but it's not. It's a hard day for me. It's a hard day.
You like Boris Johnson?
Isn't that obvious? No,
She
actually,
couldn't focus yesterday on any task that we had, checking constantly what's happening in Great Britain.
Yeah, but you know, I studied in Great Britain. I did not study film. I studied something else, and I never expected to work in film. And I studied in Great Britain, and I couldn't study if it wasn't for the European Union. I owe my studies, which was a great period for me and something that really helped me. I owe my studies to the European Union. So it's distressing for me to see that. And I'm not suggesting there was really an alternative in the vote yesterday. Anyway, nobody wants to talk about it. It's not sexy. It's like the Greek crisis. It's not sexy. But again, make a film any way you can, but you can't have it all. You can't have a hotshot producer who goes to markets and who travels and who do things like that and have co-production so you pretend you have a lot of money coming from everywhere and have a lot of thought processes and glorified accountants and, you know, composers and things you have to do and do guerrilla. You have to make a choice. In my view, when you make your first movie, make it any way you can. And then seriously think about the second one. If you want to make your first movie into a huge endeavor, then you can't do guerrilla because it will look ridiculous. But that's just what I think. You have to, that's why I'm saying we made Elle in a way, but we didn't make Elle in a way. He decided he wanted to make Elle in this way, and then we did our part. But first it's the director that gives the tone, always, and that's the way it should be. And we just have to find the way to do it.
Hi. In Pity, it was not you began your collaboration after the script was written. Would you?
Me or Klaudia?
No, all of you. The co-production began with a script already written, already in place.
Yeah, the script was in place, and we decided even before, I think, reading the script because we like the cut book.
Yeah, as you mentioned.
But it was in place already.
Since I see there are no more questions for the time being, maybe it would be interesting for the audience to talk how it works when the script is not yet written, when you guys begin seeking a co-production with less than a script.
So the conversation from yesterday that we had, which started from actually counterbalance the Polish-Greek relationship, was that we started to discuss Polish project, which is at the beginning of its way. The script, it's not even done in Polish. I mean, there is a kind of the script which I couldn't call even the first draft. But we did like a kind of synopsis of what we want to achieve. And this is the project that we can easily shoot wherever we want, with the director that Amanda knows her works already. And she was even sure that she wants to make her other project in Greece or with a Greek relationship. So yesterday we started to discuss how to make it together without reading anything. So sometimes you just only come up with an idea. And if you have someone you feel you could discuss the project, like form it or package it together, you don't even need to have a script. It would be great if she could read it, but it's not there yet. But since yesterday, I know that I can seriously think about Amanda being the first reader once it is translated into English. So, I mean, if you think that you have something that it's kind of a unique, or it's a sci-fi, or sometimes it happens even in your village, but it speaks about some unique things that are current for you guys here in Greece and for us in Poland and wherever, why not to do it together? And sometimes also we are creating ideas that are coming from the producers, not necessarily from something that exists already and comes from directors. And I do really hope that we will make this next movie together as equal producers, not being in this minor-major situation here, because I think that right now the project is at its beginning and we can really think about making this in Greece. So if you have a friend that you can connect and discuss the project in a very early stage, it is possible, I think.
Thank you.
But also, as with everything, it starts with an intention. If you want to work with somebody, if she calls me about something, whether it's real work or no work, papers, then I'll do it. Both because I want to work and because I trust her. So it's about building relationships. It's like you with your crew, the people that you work with. It's exactly the same. It's just that we're far away and we have different things we have to figure out. That's why the most important thing is people. And money is the second, I think.
When a script is there, when the script is already there, first of all, I'm a director. So when the script is already there and it comes to you, the director has already went through the psychologist couch, through everything, and the script is finished. But when a director comes to you and your instinct, to one of you, your instinct says, I want to make next film. And I want to seek money from, and collaborations and alliances from other countries also. And you are carrying an idea that is not already mature, because it's never written. Would you take this risk, or would you like to have the script ready? I'm referring to all these script conferences, all these script laboratories, all these script things. Would you get attached to something that is already, it's premature in your understanding?
I think that it really, as Amanda said, it really depends on the people who are sending you projects. And sometimes to your instinct so much, because we are bringing projects to the company which are on a really different level. Sometimes it is only an idea that we like. Sometimes we like the producer and we did some things already together. Sometimes we like the artists that are around. And this is kind of a mixture of many factors, actually. Like who is the director, sometimes who is the script writer, sometimes the idea itself that you feel connected with, sometimes on the financial circumstances. But I don't think I have like a one answer for this, because I don't think that we were reasonable sometimes when we were making our choices. And well, it's much easier now for me to say that after 6 or 7 years of traveling, but at the beginning, we didn't know how to choose, and it was a huge risk that we were taking. So probably that was intuition only, that we want to make it. Now, probably you can judge more, like if this is possible for you, if you can collect things around this, if this director might be open, if you can find good people for him to work with. But I don't think that there is like one answer. And very often we are trying to fit things around. It depends really whom you are talking with. If Babis would be open for another project to be shot in Poland, I would be very happy about. Even without having a script, sometimes we are really talking only about ideas and we are developing those ideas together. But what I like about co-productions is when you have a people attached from a very early stage, it can only help you. And we are doing right now Polish movie, which is pure Polish, about Polish suburbs. It's written as a musical. It's about wannabe rapper. It's a very heavy language to translate into foreign languages. And we came to our French friends, the same friends that Amanda is working with. And I gave them the script, and they said, we don't understand it completely. But because we know what you are doing, we want to do this with you. And then we put a lot of money to have a proper translator into the proper translation into French. And when they were able to read it, they said, that's great. I mean, now we understand the idea. But they made the decision to come to the project without knowing actually the script, because the English translation was really very basic and very bad. There was no literature inside. So sometimes it is, I mean, the decision is made really on a friendship and on your instinct only.
And there's always a risk.
Always the risk.
If you know the director, if the script is great, there's always a risk.
I mean, the question of the script, a great author sometimes doesn't have a script. Like the script for Secrets and Lies by, I mean, obviously there was more written afterwards, but the original pitch for Secrets and Lies by Mike Leigh was written in a napkin, and it was 5 words. I don't remember them all. It was families, secrets, 5 words, and that's how he pitched it. So if Mike Leigh had come to you, or somebody you think could be Mike Leigh, you'd say, let me read the script. I mean, scripts, and I'm not suggesting that they're not very important, and every movie is different, and some movies are some films are very script-oriented and some are not. But scripts are also a way to raise money. It's not necessarily about what the film is sometimes. So scripts make good projects, and film funds read the scripts and they say, oh, the script's nice. I mean, read whatever is being funded, not just in Greece, elsewhere as well, and then see the movie. Oftentimes, and if you happen to read the script, a lot of the times you think, man, that's not good. It makes for something that's risk-free for you, but that's not going to be good. So it's all about, of course, it's about the director and who they are, and if you like the director, because we're not in a studio system where somebody writes a great script and then you find the right director and who has a window and who does it. And as Klaudia said, we have a lot of issues about making our movies more popular, but we're not in the studio system, so the script is...
Yeah, with the High Life, we didn't have a script when we applied to the Polish Film Institute. The only thing that Claire gave to us was the 40 pages treatment, which was not even a treatment. It was kind of, imagination, how she sees the thing, with a lot of technical stuff about the spaceship and black holes. And to make it readable for a Polish people, I asked 2 guys, one who was studying physics and another philosopher, to make an explanation to this, because it was really heavy to understand it even for myself. And we got the money based on the package. So there was no script. She was writing the script on a set. But because the package was good, we got the money for the project. And actually there was no even one single voice in the committee who says, no, well, let's maybe rethink it. Because they knew that this director, I mean, you have to trust the director. Maybe that's her way of working, that she doesn't write the scripts in a proper way. They are not formatted, you don't have 100 pages, you cannot count 1 page per 1 minute and stuff like that. I mean, that was completely not an issue with this project. So, but even for me, I couldn't read it. I couldn't read it. I mean, those 40 pages were so difficult. I mean, you could understand what's there. But when I asked those 2 guys to help me and to make the statements, like a philosophical statements, and something about those black holes and gravity, they were looking at me like, but everything which is there, it's not, I mean, it's even hard for us to get into this astrological story here, because we don't know actually what she wants to achieve from there. Well, that was super difficult thing, but you see, I mean, the script actually was not the main issue. That was the package, and the main, it was the director.
And it shouldn't be. It's Claire Denis applying to the PFI. It should be a no-brainer. That's why I'm saying sometimes even with, you apply to the television or to the Greek Film Center for films that are like completion funding. Say you've done the documentary, you've done the shoot, and then you just need some money to finish it for post-production. And you go through this, and you have a cut to show. And you go through these very surreal discussions where they say, yeah, but write a script. And you're like, it's a documentary. You've got an hour. You want me to write a script. You want me to go to the director and say, write a script for something that they've already shot, just so you can pretend to the committee that you read the script and it's fine. Have the guts to say, that's okay, we do it. It's public money. It's not your private money. You're not going to, your aim is not to make money out of it. Your aim is to make something worthy out of it. If you think it's worthy, do it. Time for a cigarette, perhaps.
Yes,
Yeah.
time for cigarettes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.